Commend the bill to the House. Thank you.
A split call. Damien O'Connor, 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In 1992, the national government deregulated the mining industry. In 1997, it created Schedule 4 areas, that is, high conservation areas, including national parks that were out of bounds for mining. In 2009, it proposed to mine Schedule 4 areas. And now in 2013, open them all up, Mr. Smith, you can't get out of that one. In 2013, the national government is proposing to lock in Schedule 4 areas once again in this bill, Mr. Speaker. I'll start with the good news. This bill does include some provisions that Labor supports. The first one that I must speak of with a passion is that of implementing the recommendations, or some of them, from the Pike River Royal Commission, Mr. Speaker, that unfortunately were the result of the 1992 legislation by the national government. It is moving to address the problems created. I acknowledge that, as do the families of those 29 miners, Mr. Speaker, as do the people on the West Coast and in the mining sector. We need safe mining. This bill makes some improvements in the process of applying for mining permits, a two-tier system that give due recognition to the important ones, Mr. Speaker. It incorporates health and safety provisions into all aspects of mining, including prospects, and that's what it should be. It makes it easier to revoke permits where operators don't meet standards, and it does increase the penalties, Mr. Speaker. Those are the good points of this legislation, and I would like to acknowledge them. However, Mr. Speaker, there are some problems with it. And one of the things raised by my colleagues there, of course, is the one that relates to the Minister of Conservation, but has perhaps precedent and flow-on issues for other landowners. In 1992, along with the deregulation of the mining industry and mine safety, the government said that landowners should have the ultimate right of blockage and ban on any mining on their land. Prior to that, the Crown owned the minerals under the land and gave, with those mineral rights, the right to the land, Mr. Speaker. It was not right. It overrode private property rights, Mr. Speaker. And what is happening here in this bill is that the Minister of Conservation, who holds conservation land on behalf of all New Zealanders, her rights to manage that land will be overridden potentially by the Minister of Economic Development. Now, there'll be some, particularly in my patch down on the West Coast, might say, oh, that's great. But actually, when they stop and think about it, if we want sensible, environmentally friendly, sustainable mining, then we have to go about it the right way. Labor supports that, but it must be done in an environmentally sensitive manner. It must be done in a way that returns to the community real benefits, not just temporary benefits. And it must be done in a way that upholds the highest levels of health and safety across the mining sector, Mr. Speaker. Labor has had that view for a long time, and we will not resolve from that. Mr. Speaker, the problem is as this bill goes through, the Minister of Conservation, who owns the land or manages the land, if those rights are overridden, then there's the potential, if the economic benefit test on mining applications applies to other landowners, then their rights may be overridden too. And what the government has done at the last minute is brought in a ban on protesting. Now, everyone thinks it's a bunch of long-haired hippies out there all in wetsuits running out there, you see, protesting about offshore mining. Well, can I say that many landowners, many ordinary New Zealanders, protest against mining because they see the proposals as not being environmentally sensitive, not providing benefit to the community, and they want to protest too. Mr. Speaker, we have to be careful that the passage of this bill does not undermine, and it does for those offshore, but does not undermine ordinary New Zealanders' rights to stand up and say, this is not right. And their ability to do that ensures better process, ensures a fairer and better outcome often. So the government riding roughshod over New Zealanders' rights to protest, Mr. Speaker, is unconstitutional, and that is why Labor has taken a position to oppose this, and I support the opposition on that basis, in spite of positive provisions in the bill, implementing better health and safety standards in the mining sector. There are other provisions in this bill that on balance mean that Labor cannot support the bill, Mr Speaker.
Mr Speaker.
Gareth Hughes.
Kia ora, Mr Speaker. Nā mihi nui kia koutou. Kia ora. I rise to